I don't think I would be alone here tonight and having never really known my grandparents. Both my grandfathers died in Greece before I ever visited there, and I met my grandmothers only twice in my life. Once when I visited as a boy in 1975, and then again as a young adult in 1990. I'm not alone because for some of us on this stage, and for many of you in the audience, migration and distance has shaped the nature of our families and the cultures we believe we belong to. The stories I have of my grandparents' lives are second-hand, filtered through the memories, longings and secrets of my parents. I'm grateful that I did have an opportunity to meet my grandmothers, but even those encounters were made difficult by the limitations of my Greek and the overwhelming chasm of experience that separated myself, a privileged child of the First World, and those two women, each born on the eve of the 20th century, in a peasant Eastern Mediterranean world that was to be torn apart by two Balkan wars, two world wars, a civil war and two dictatorships. I remember sitting in a kitchen in Athens with my maternal grandmother and she crying, wanting to know why her daughter had only visited her once in all the time she'd been a migrant in Australia. I tried to explain the distances involved, the expense. My uncle Mitsu, who was sitting with us, took me aside and explained that once in the early 70s, he was driving his mother from the village to Athens when they came to a fork in the road. My yaya asked, "Mitsu, if we turn left instead of right, can we go and visit your yaya in Australia?" "You have to remember, Christo," my uncle said to me, "this is a woman born in a time when women were doomed to illiteracy and the shadows. And look at you. You are now a university student. You want to be a writer. You don't know how proud that makes us. But if you ever forget where you come from, fasis faxu, I will slaughter you." I want to share with you a moment with this grandmother. I was a 10-year-old in the village, visiting from Melbourne, and my grandmother took me to the chicken coop to get a bird to prepare for dinner. She pointed to one of the chooks and said, "Go, catch it and kill it." Now, I was an inner-city Australian child, and poultry and meat was something I believed magically appeared on butcher slabs and supermarket shelves. My yaya pointed to the bird and I shook my head. "No," I screamed, "I can't do it." She was appalled. "What do you mean?" she said. "You are nearly a man and you don't know how to kill a chicken? What has your mother been teaching you?" She adjusted her headscarf, hitched up her heavy widow's skirts, chased after the chicken and brought it to me. "Now," she ordered, "wring its neck." I started to weep. The bird was fluttering in her hand and I was too scared to go near it. Taking pity on me, she ordered me to sit down next to her and proceeded to break the bird's neck. It was one quick action, a wrenching motion, and the head pulled away from the body. There was blood and the beast continued to struggle in her hand. By now I was howling. She ignored my tears and started to tell me how to prepare the bird for cooking. The hanging of the body in the cool of the cellar, putting the pot on the fire, placing the bird in the near boiling water, plucking the feathers first from the wings, the legs, and then finally from the breasts. When my mother arrived back from visiting her sister, she was horrified. "What have you been showing Christo?" "Something you should have shown him a long time ago," my yaya admonished her daughter. That night we ate roast chook, and I learned something about the real meaning of placing food on the table. I look at my nieces as they play with my father and mother, watch my aunt surrounded by her grandkids. I feel fortunate to have met my grandmothers, spent time with them. I feel a sadness that I could not have known them better, that I never met my grandfathers. I wonder what I could have learned from them about war and occupation, dictatorship and democracy, poverty and suffering. But I also miss the smaller, just as important stuff, like how to prepare the grapes off the vine for wine, how to dry tobacco, how to build a shelter, how to tend a vegetable crop. I watch my nieces play with my father and mother, and I think this is what unconditional love is. A few years ago, a woman brought a dying bird into the veterinary clinic in which I am employed. The vet I work with said there's nothing we can do, we have to put it down. She explained that we could inject it with a lithobarb, but it is easy to miss a vital organ in such a small creature, and it can be a horrible death, as it literally drowns and suffocates from the poison. The most humane thing to do is to break its neck, she explained. Do you want me to show you how to do that?" "It's okay," I answered. "I can do it. My grandmother taught me."